did you notice what verse that was?
John.
One person was paying attention.
It was John 1 something.
Here.
My gosh. Anyways, okay, that verse was John chapter 1, and it's like the first 18 verses of it, I think. We're getting a lot of feedback. That's better. A little. Whoa, listen.
Are you on bicycle doing
Boys.
this? Oh, no.
Oh, I am.
Hey, boy, I gotta ask you a question.
Yeah.
How much cough syrup did you drink?
Do what?
Cough syrup did you drink this
I actually didn't have any cough syrup today.
Sure.
I forgot my medicine last night, though, so maybe that's what it is. No. No, there's supposed to be a little muffler on this thing, and there's not. It catches the wind. And run.
When you're hard on the game and then like, oh, yeah, sure.
Wow, I don't think I'm going to go there. Anyways, that was John chapter 1. Okay, now, what do you think of whenever you saw that? I mean, like, if you were just reading that, what did it make you think of? Christmas. Okay. I mean, like, the nativity scene didn't give it away kind of thing, There we go. So, okay, let's read through this. That was just pieces and parts of it. I want to thank Caitlin for letting me use her laptop because I couldn't figure out how to get the churches hooked up into this for some reason today. So, that works great. Okay, in the beginning. It sounds like we're starting in Genesis, doesn't it? In the beginning. Okay, in the beginning, the Word already existed. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. He existed in the beginning with God. God created everything through Him, and nothing was created except through Him. Okay, who is Him? It says the Word. The Word is capitalized. When the Word is capitalized, what does that mean? The Word. Have you ever seen word capitalized and it's talking about a word on a page? Like a word. Word. No. Okay, the Word. The Word is talking about Jesus Christ. Okay, so to clear this up a little bit as we go through, when it says the Word, we're going to say Jesus. Okay? In the beginning, Jesus already existed. The Word, Jesus was with God, and Jesus was God. He existed in the beginning with God. God created everything through Him, and nothing was created except through Him. Jesus gave life to everything that was created, and His life brought light to everyone. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can never extinguish it. God sent a man, John the Baptist, to tell about the light so that everyone might believe because of his testimony. Okay, so I want to tell the Christmas story from a little bit of a different perspective. Usually at Christmas, we always hear, well, then you have the star and the wise men, and they came down, and all this stuff, and, and that's awesome. But if you guys are like me, after a while, you're like quoting the Christmas story, and you're like, I'm not really learning anything from this. I'm just quoting this story, and it feels like it's just from this just made up story, and I don't get it. Or maybe we just get it too well that we take it for granted. So I really like the way John presents this. John has a way in the Bible to where he's just really, really blunt about everything. I mean, he's really blunt. He's easy to understand most of the time and everything like that. So we realize from the very beginning of this that in the very beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth, like it says in Genesis, then you have here, in the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth, Jesus was with Him. Have you ever thought about it like that? That when God created everything, that Jesus was there with Him. He was at the very beginning of everything. And God used Jesus to give light and life to everything. So what does Christmas really have to do? What is Christmas? Is it, do what? Jesus' birthday? Is it, a lot of times, I wanted to bring in a manger scene, and I just didn't for lack of time. I wanted to bring in a manger scene, and where Jesus is, I wanted to just cover Him up completely with presents and lights and ribbon and like a little Christmas tree and just completely cover it up. And then you have Mary and Joseph sitting there with this big old stack of presents. Because that's what Christmas has came to be so many times, is it's this manger scene that's just covered with all these presents and lights and all this stuff. And to really get into what Christmas is all about, we have to take it apart piece by piece and say, okay, this doesn't really belong, this doesn't belong, this doesn't belong. And not that those things are bad. I mean, we have a Christmas tree in our house. We have two. We have presents. We have, all these things. I'm not saying that there's things wrong with any of that. But it's when those things take over the real meaning of Christmas. So this is what John is talking about here, is about the birth of Jesus Christ. About how he was sent into the world, and he is the light that shines in the darkness. But then it goes to, there's this man named John the Baptist. Now, have any of y'all ever heard of John the Baptist before? Now, John the Baptist doesn't mean that he was a Baptist. This is actually his name, is John the Baptist. I think it'd be funny if people started referring to me as Corey the Baptist. That'd be interesting. There'd be a couple churches I wouldn't get booked in if I had that name. Because we sing in all kinds of different churches. But anyways, okay, let's start there where it says, God sent a man, John the Baptist, to tell about the light so that everyone might believe because of his testimony. John himself was not the light. He was simply a witness to tell about the light. The one who is the true light, who gave light to everyone, was coming into the world. He came into the very world he created, but the world did not recognize him. You know, when he was born as a baby, everybody thought it had been passed down for years and years and years through all of these people, and these prophets were saying, a Savior is coming, and all of these people are expecting somebody to come that's just going to already just be a king and just be amazing and be the most attractive, the biggest, the strongest, the most powerful person. They were expecting he was going to be the king. And then all of a sudden, they hear the king was born in a manger. And a manger is probably what we could equal to a feeding trough in a barn. Could you imagine a baby being born in a feeding trough? Something like where the pigs are eating out of and the cows are eating out of, everything like that. That's where Jesus was born. You know, do you ever wonder, why in the world didn't he come with all this power and might and just be all these things that the world thought that they were looking for in a king? It's because he wanted to come to the humble people. He wanted to come as a baby and grow up. And now, because of him being born as a baby and him growing up and going through all the things that we go through today, the trials, the tests, the temptations, and everything, you got to realize he went through all those things. Now, I understand, there wasn't internet back then. There wasn't TV, so there wasn't some of these temptations, these distractions, and things like that. But there were still things in that time that were still just as bad, which were still just as much considered sin or a distraction or a weight as some of the things that we have now with modern technology. So, he was tempted by everything. In every different way, Jesus was tempted. For 33 years. Now, can you imagine being 33 years old, being tempted for everything in all different ways, and never sinning? Can you imagine that? I'm 20, and I've been tempted in tons of ways. I wouldn't say every way, but in tons of ways, and I have failed miserably most of the time. I'm just being completely honest. Most of the time, I have miserably failed. So Jesus is 33 years old. He's tempted by all these things, and he never fails.